Hey everybody, it's time to take a look at the biggest entertainment news stories of the past week. We're going to be looking at CinemaCon, all the fun stuff that happened there. We'll be looking at the season finale of the Pitt and kind of looking back on this entire season. We'll look at the announcement at CinemaCon about Top Gun 3 potentially coming out. It's officially in development. And we all know how things like that go with development. Doesn't always mean it's going to happen, but with the money on the table, I'm pretty sure we will be getting Top Gun 3. We will be taking a look at the top 10 films at the box office this past weekend, and we will talk about movies in general. Movies versus streaming. Is the theater experience ever going to come back? So we will get to all of that today on this episode of Gary Talks. So the big news this week was CinemaCon. For those of you who don't know, it's basically like Comic-Con, except it's for theater owners. You know, these big corporations, AMC, Regal, blah, blah, blah. And it's where the studios will roll out, their trailers, their movie stars, trying to get these movie theaters pumped up for the summer season, the rest of the year. Everything to help sell the movies, and the movie theaters help do that. It's certainly not as big of a thing as it used to be because people don't go to the movies anymore. And we'll really look into that near the end of the show. But, it's crazy. Other than Project Hail Mary, every time I go to the movies anymore, it's almost empty. It's like me and one other old guy, and when we get up and go to the bathroom, we tell each other what we missed. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But CinemaCon had a lot of really cool things. Probably the biggest movie coming out of CinemaCon was that they showed the Avengers Doomsday trailer. Apparently, it was so great they had to play it back to back because people were losing their minds. Now, I've seen reviews of the trailer online. People have gone into detail of, it starts with this and then this happens and you see this and you see this. And, I really don't even like seeing the trailers on the internet, watching it on YouTube or whatever, because I like to see it on the big screen. My wife doesn't even like to see trailers at all. She wants to be completely surprised when the movie comes out. You know how trailers give it all away. I like trailers, but I'd really love to see it for the first time on the big screen with that sound and the projection and everything. That being said, the second that Avengers Doomsday goes online, I'm going to watch it. But the last thing I want to do is read what some jacknut wrote about what he saw on the trailer, especially for the very first time. I don't want it spoiled like that. I know some people love spoilers. They don't mind seeing every single thing that's going to happen in the movie before it comes out. I'm not like that. But it seems that Avengers Doomsday is going to be the movie that everyone talks about, which is funny because there was a stalemate happening between Avengers Doomsday and Dune 3. They were both going to be released on the same day, and, was this going to be a Barbieheimer kind of thing? But strangely, Avengers moved and let Dune have the date, which is shocking because I like the Dune movies, but, it doesn't seem like Dune Part 3 would be a bigger movie than Avengers Doomsday. Why would Doomsday change? Why would they blink? Why would they give up? Well, it seems that Warner Brothers, in order, they make this deal with the movie theaters for IMAX screens. And everybody wants the Odyssey that's coming out. Christopher Nolan shot it all on these 7,000-pound IMAX cameras that his poor DP has to cart around. And, Warner Brothers knows movie theaters want this Nolan movie in IMAX. They get to charge a little extra for those tickets. It's going to make lots of money. We're all going to show up, eat lots of popcorn and goobers and things like that. But Warner Brothers, in part of that deal, they get first dibs on IMAX screens or something like that. So Dune Part 3 has the IMAX screens. Disney knows that they could make extra money with Avengers Doomsday on IMAX. They don't want to miss out on it. So they moved. They moved to a weekend, I'm assuming probably a week earlier, so that they can at least have a week of IMAX screens. Now, I'm not going to cry for Disney because back when The Hateful Eight came out, Tarantino specifically wanted it to be on the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles, this classic, dome theater that's been around since the 50s. I believe there was even a credit in the Roadshow version that it was shot for the Cinerama Dome. I know we had tickets to see it in the Dome, but it came out right after, I believe, The Force Awakens, and Disney had a contract that they got to play in the Dome, and Tarantino didn't get to premiere his film in the Dome, so they moved us all to like a smaller theater, a smaller screen at the ArcLight. It'll be funny if Tarantino does indeed buy the Dome one day. That would be pretty impressive. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. Scuttlebutt, I've heard. But so I'm not going to cry any tears for Disney. It's kind of like what comes around goes around. But speaking of Disney, people are super excited about Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm not one of them. I love the Mandalorian TV show, but the movie looks like just the TV show. I don't know if I want to pay $20 to see it. I'm sure I will, but I'm not, I'm not running out buying my advance tickets for it. That's for sure. Toy Story 5 they talked about is going to be coming out. Avatar: Fire and Ash. Disney, I think, won CinemaCon. Paramount, of course, as I mentioned in the opener, announced Top Gun 3. It's pretty funny because, Tom Cruise, he has no aversion to sequels. I mean, he's made 19 Mission Impossible movies or whatever, but it seemed like he never really wanted to do a sequel to Top Gun. And then when Top Gun Maverick came out, and it was an amazing movie, a lot of fun to see on the big screen, I think he realized that, hey, there is this Top Gun universe out here, and, he's probably going to fly a spaceship or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to watch it. I love Tom Cruise. I love everything Tom Cruise does. He is the last movie star. He is the last of like a dying breed of someone whose name gets me to the movies. You basically have Tom Cruise for actors. You've got Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, a handful of directors that their name being on it gets me there. But I can't wait for Top Gun 3. Who knows when it'll come out? I'm assuming if it's in development now, a couple years of writing, a couple years of shooting, it'll be 2030 or something like that. Warner Brothers, people were talking about Dune Part 3. They were super excited for that. I guess there's an animated Cat in the Hat film coming out, which is going to start a Dr. Seuss universe. When Samuel L. Jackson showed up at the end of Iron Man and mentioned the Avengers and our minds were blown. Who would have thought that one day I would be getting tired of interconnected universes? It's just like too much of a good thing. Every movie doesn't have to be connected to everything else. Now, one of the fun things that also came out of CinemaCon was everyone is discussing this Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Now, I think the merger is a bad thing, of course. All these studios joining together under corporate umbrellas is horrible. I work a lot for Warner Brothers Discovery on their Discovery side. Every single time that, it merges with something else, budgets get cut, shows get paused, we're out of work for a while as they restructure corporate shenanigans or whatever. I actually prefer Paramount buying it to Netflix buying it. Netflix buying Warner Brothers just seemed really, really scary to me. I know they're like, oh no, we'll for sure release things on the big screen, but Netflix doesn't really. They don't really do physical media, which you guys know how much I love physical media. So my hope is that Paramount will at least put things on the big screen for 45 days, 60 days, or whatever, and still release physical media of those films. But a list of, 100, 1,000, I don't know how many movie stars and actors all put together some sort of, I don't know, request, demand, mission statement that they don't want this merger to happen. So, these movie theater, or not movie theater, sorry, these movie stars, these actors, in their self-inflated ego, where they think that people care about them, they think the fact that they've all signed this petition, now that, these billionaires who are trading stocks and all making money off each other are all going to suddenly say, no, this isn't going to happen. It's just another tone-deaf thing where, agree or disagree with these actors who signed the petition, just the simple fact that they think their name carries enough weight to make anybody do anything. It's the equivalent of getting pulled over by the cop and saying, do you know who I am? It's frankly a little bit ridiculous. Nothing is going to get in the way of this merger. I think the only thing that could get in the way of this merger is if it stretches too long and administrations change and you no longer have Trump and his people, kind of controlling stuff. Then I could see these mergers being stopped for political reasons. But ultimately, since everybody in Washington, D.C., they're just out to get more money in their pocket and to grease palms and make deals, this merger will happen whenever. It doesn't matter what actor wants to try to stop it. Another big story from last week was the season finale of The Pitt. Now, The Pitt was one of my favorite shows from last year. I was really super excited for it to come back. I had the opportunity to meet most of the cast at the Emmys this past year, and I just could not wait for The Pitt. And I have to say that before we get to the finale, this season was fairly lackluster to me. One of the issues, I think, is that the cast just keeps getting bigger. There's more people coming in, and it makes it a little hard to care about a lot of people. So some of the med students, the residents, whatever they are, from last season that we really liked, their screen time was limited because we had these new people coming in. Which brings me, there's this big story, right, where last year the doctor who was pregnant was written off the show, wasn't back in season 2. This year, the other doctor who has mom issues, she's going to be leaving the show, and people are up in arms. How is it that 2 women of color have left the show? What is going on? And it's like, man, some of you motherfuckers just can never be satisfied with anything. I mean, you look at The Pitt. This is probably the most diverse show on television, to the point that I roll my eyes half the time because it's like, oh, here comes a guy in a fucking wheelchair because we had to check that box. It's like watching The Pitt, which again I love. You're just like, oh, wow, look, there's this other random race that isn't represented on TV. They gave them a part. They gave this person a part, this person a part. So you have to say when 80% of the cast are minorities, when people leave, it's going to be a minority leaving. And then this, woman of color who leaves the show is replaced by another woman of color. So it's like it's not like they're getting rid of everyone that's not white and then it comes in and it's completely ER now. It's like, listen, your 3 leads are white, right? Noah Wyle and the head nurse and his army buddy. It's just what it is. I mean, they're the main characters. Unless we get that nighttime spinoff, they're probably always going to be on the show. But then you look at everyone else on the show. It's representation. It's everything that people should be excited about. They should be happy that they're seeing this representation on TV, but no, they cannot be happy because they need to bitch and moan and fucking complain about everything. So it's like, here's the show that should be for you, where ICE soldiers are villains and it's people are called unhoused individuals instead of homeless. You guys should be like high-fiving each other and being excited, and instead you just have to be mad that another woman of color is leaving the show. Fucking get over yourself, for real. But anyway, back to The Pitt. This season, besides not really being able to be invested in the characters we love, it was just kind of a downer. I mean, I don't know. Like you had, Dr. Robbie and his near suicidal issues going on, which was interesting. And I'm glad they didn't go. I thought they were setting up all season. He was going to have a motorcycle accident to end the show. They kept saying you shouldn't go riding when you've been up for 19 hours straight or whatever. So I thought that was how it was gonna end with a big, meatloaf car crash, bat out of hell type thing. And then season 3 would be Robbie coming back from the accident. So at least they didn't do that. At least they didn't leave it in some did he kill himself or did he not? I thought the last episode was really good, but the season as itself was very lackluster. Hopefully season 3 bounces back. It's kind of show I'll keep watching. I watched all 37,000 seasons of ER too. When I like that kind of format, I'll watch the show. But I did think season 2 was a tad bit of a disappointment, and I hope that season 3 is much better. We've got Coachella going on. Who gives a fuck? I mean, honestly, I'm too old for this shit. I recognize a handful of names that are there, but I couldn't tell you a song they sang. I know Justin Bieber, I guess he sang with his laptop or something. Madonna showed up. They probably had to, somebody's grandma dancing with Sabrina Carpenter. I mean, it's not my thing. And then even beyond that, the fucking Coachella audience with these influencers and my wife and I call anybody you see wearing that kind of clothes and hats and taking the Instagram pictures. We call them Coachella fuckers. It's disgusting. I hate every bit of it. So even if that were my type of music, you would not catch me at that concert. I would not want to go there. But if you love it, that's great for you. Another big concert going on. Lady Gaga just ended her Mayhem Ball tour, and I guess the numbers were insane. It was like $360 million or something like that. It's the highest grossing tour of her career. But then again, I'm saying that's not that big of a deal, only because have you guys seen how expensive tickets are to concerts? It's ridiculous. I mean, of course, everything is getting more expensive. A loaf of bread is now, you have to take a loan out for it. But man, like I don't even get to concerts anymore because I like to sit fairly close to the stage, or I like to be down in that pit area or something like that. And used to, I'd be willing to drop a couple $100 for that kind of thing. Now those seats are over $1,000, $2,000. Nosebleeds are $200 or $300. It's ridiculous. I mean, this goes kind of like with WrestleMania that we were just talking about in the last show, where I went to WrestleMania 23, which granted was just about 20 years ago. My dad and I sat 13th row in Detroit, and I believe we paid about $360 a ticket. Now, if you wanted to go to those exact same seats, it's probably like $5,000 or $6,000 for a ticket. It's crazy. So, all these concert tours and things are bragging about the amount of money they're making, but it's hard to not break records when your tickets are that expensive. We're going to finish up in a second and talk about streaming versus theaters, but before we get to that, I do want to go over the top 10 movies from last weekend's box office. So the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I have not seen yet, but I really liked the first one. And I'm not really a gamer, but I really enjoyed that first movie, even though Chris Pratt was an odd choice for Mario. But the new one made another $36 million to bring its total gross up to like $357 million over the 3 weeks it's been out. I believe it's the biggest movie of the year so far. It will probably hold that record until this summer. Number 2, a movie I did see and love, Project Hail Mary, made $20,500,000. Its total gross is $285 million. It's like the biggest non-franchise movie in 10 years or something like that. I loved it. Most fun I've had at the movies in a long time, and like I said earlier, it's the only time since maybe I guess Deadpool and Wolverine that I went to a movie and it was packed, which is interesting. It's like no one's going to the movies anymore. Number 3, Lee Cronin's The Mummy came in with $13 million. It was a new movie that just came out. Man, the trailers did nothing for me, really. It's supposed to be creepy, atmospheric. I don't know. Like, I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't care. I'll probably see it when it's out on Blu-ray or if it's streaming or something like that, but it just didn't draw me to the movies. Number 4 is The Drama. Came in with a little under $5 million. Its total gross is now near $40 million. It's a movie that apparently is all about one big twist. It's all about the twist. The twist for me is that this was not made by M. Night Shyamalan. Coming in at number 5 was something called You, Me, and Tuscany. Almost made $4 million. I don't know what the fuck that movie is. I'm not going to see it. Coming in next was Hoppers. It's been out for a couple months now. Made another $3 million. Total gross is $161 million. Again, not a movie I will probably see, but my mom saw it and she loved it. My mom loves cartoons, so there you go. Coming in at number 7 is the new Bob Odenkirk movie, Normal. It looks exactly like... Oh, what's the one? Now it's Nobody. That's it. Which is funny because when I buy the movie and put it on the shelf, it'll probably be right next to Nobody and Nobody 2 because I alphabetize everything. He looks like his character from Fargo, the sheriff with the mustache, but he's, fighting bad guys like it's Nobody. It looks like it's probably the kind of movie that Jason Statham should have done, the kind of thing where he just wants to be left alone, but now bad guys come in and he has to kick their ass. That being said, I would like to see Normal. I don't know if I'll have the opportunity because it's one of those movies that will probably only be out for a couple weeks on the big screen. So it's probably one I'll have to catch on streaming. Coming in at number 8, the BTS World Tour, some Japanese, like BTS World Tour Ari Rang in Japan. I don't fucking know, man. I'm too old for BTS. If you like it, good for you. When I go to these concert movies, I go to see the Metallica concert movie or the Motley Crue concert movie or Prince, Sign of the Times on the big screen. I'm old. What can you say? Number 9, something called Bus Boys at $1.6 million. No clue what that is. And number 10 is an Indian film called Booth Bangla. Didn't even make $1 million and still made the top 10. And that kind of leads us into this last thing I want to talk about today, which, can movie theaters return? I hope so. I mean, I love movie theaters. Going to the movies was always my favorite thing in the world. As a kid, that was kind of my reward. Every birthday I got to go to the movies. If I did something really special, going to the movies was my reward for it. Once I turned 16, I drove to the movies every weekend. Back in the day, we had the dollar show where you would take the movies that had been out for a while on the big screen. People had stopped going to them. They would go to these little rinky-dink theaters. For $1, you could see it. I would pretty much see every single thing at the dollar theater just so I could watch it on the big screen. I love movies. And even before COVID, though, movies were starting to die off, based partly on streaming and partly on all you fucking assholes that text and talk during the movies. The streaming aspect of it, I mean, I get it. It's you can have your home theater set up, great sound, great presentation. You can get a 100-inch TV now. It's not like we're watching on our little black and white 13-inch anymore or anything like that. So I understand watching it at home, but there is something that I miss about watching it with strangers, with friends, everyone laughing, everyone gasping, not being able to look at your phone. Even me, I'm not a huge phone person. I don't feel like I'm addicted to it like a lot of people are, but I will check texts. I'll check messages. I'll check Facebook during a movie sometimes. And I like at the movie theater, you're not able to do that. You have to focus. You have to pay attention to the movie. Oh, I should say you shouldn't do that because some people do. Some people can't not be on their phone. They can't not text. And it's not just young people. I'm not, this is not a millennial, Gen Z, whatever name the younger people are. I've seen people older than me that have to text, have to keep checking their phone. And it's annoying because the movie theater is dark. And so this one little One little light lights up the whole theater. And then you got the people who are talking, who have forgotten what it means to be in public. They've forgotten the concept of other people. Just the other night, my wife and I went to see a movie called Chili Finger at Ebert Fest. My wife worked on the film, and, it stars Judy Greer, Bryan Cranston, Sean Astin, John Goodman. Really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. It's about the lady that finds a finger in her bowl of chili. But we're sitting there, and, the movie has started, and people behind us are talking in full voice, like doing some sort of director's commentary, like just discussing the movie as they're watching it. And we turn around and look back at them, and they're like, "Oh, is our talking bothering you?" Yes, motherfucker, it is. And I'll tell you this, I'm not a fighter. I'm not the kind of person that wants to get in fights, but the one place that I will get in fights is at a movie theater. If you talk during the movie, if you text during the movie, I go from 0 to 100. The only reason I didn't turn around and punch the guy was I didn't want to start a fight at my wife's premiere. But, man, I remember we went to see The Force Awakens at the Cinerama Dome, opening day. I had already seen it once because I went to the El Capitan marathon showing where they watched, we watched all 6 Star Wars movies with special guests and all that, and then we saw Force Awakens. Then after that, I took my wife and daughter to see it at the Cinerama Dome, and these 2 guys behind me are like talking all through the trailers, which is already, I'm starting to get mad. But I'm like, you gotta wait for them to, maybe they'll stop when the movie starts. The crawl starts, they're still talking. I just have to turn around and be, will you guys shut the fuck up? Like, I get so angry. I even think about, I believe it was either Seinfeld or Curb, I can't recall. It was a Larry David thing, where there was a guy in a wheelchair talking through the movie, and he got mad and wanted to fight him, and then when he saw that the guy was in a wheelchair, he backed down, like, didn't want to fight somebody in a wheelchair. I will fucking kick your ass out of the wheelchair like it's 300 kicking you down a well. You guys need to be quiet, stop texting, let us enjoy the movies. Maybe. With that, with the movies being better and stuff not being so damn expensive, movie theaters can come back. That's been your entertainment news for the week. Thank you guys for listening. I'll talk to you next time.